And you're waking up with Damo here on 4AK. It is time for our local history. And we always like to do that with Harold Peacock from History Out There. But today, he is actually joining us live from Perth. Good morning, Harold.
Yes, good morning, Damo. I'm dedicated with this story for Warwick people.
I know.
The sun's not up here yet.
What time is it there at the moment?
Yeah, it's 5:30ish, so I'm not actually inside the Perth Mint, but that's where the story inspired me because there's a lot of gold there. So I thought, let's do a gold story about Warwick.
It sounds good to me. All right, away you go.
Yeah, look, I'm at the Perth Mint this week, and I'm actually here for gold pouring, so I'll show you some videos of that. But there's also the world's biggest legal tender coin here. It's an Australian coin with a face value of $1 million. This is the one you put on your website.
Wow.
It weighs 1 ton, and is 99.99% pure gold with a gold value of over $80 million. That's $80 million.
Wow.
So, I've picked up a gold nugget here for myself, and we bring it home. It's not that big, but I thought I'd tell you about a gold nugget that was stolen in Warwick 128 years ago that proved to be undoing of a really unlucky thief. Now, the robbery was committed on the 10th of February 1897 at the residence in Warwick of Mr. William Matthew Morgan. Now, Mr. Morgan's father was a convict who'd been sentenced to death before being transported to Australia. His brothers were the first to exploit the rich gold mine at Mount Morgan in central Queensland, and Mr. Morgan himself, he would be mayor of Warwick 3 times. So he was the citizen of the town. Anyway, while the Morgan family were all out attending the Warwick Agricultural Show, the home was broken into, with valuables of all descriptions being stolen. There were diamonds, gold bracelets, chains, brooches and watches, chips of gold, and one unique gold nugget that weighed about an ounce. All up, about £150 worth was stolen. Now, that's over $250,000 today, so it was a lot of money. 3 days later, and Detective Thomas Seymour was on the case. Now, he was one of Queensland's top policemen and would go on to serve 35 years on the force. Anyway, he wisely positioned himself outside the longest-standing pawn shop in the colony. It was run by Samuel Simmons in Wickham Street, Fortitude Valley in Brisbane, and it would carry on business there for around 30 years. Now, while Detective Seymour was outside, he saw a young man by the name of Frank Burns enter the shop, and so he followed me in. Inside, Burns offered an item for sale, and Seymour swooped, and Burns was arrested with a nugget of gold and a quantity of gold chips in his possession. Now, Burns refused to say where he got the nugget from. Now, how do you identify gold?
Yes.
So he was charged in Brisbane's Central Police Court with having stolen a nugget. He was charged anyway. But he refused to say where he got the nugget from. And so there was no evidence that Burns had stolen, or even that this was the stolen gold. So he was released. Now, Detective Seymour, he wouldn't have it, and so he re-arrested Burns, and this time charged him with stealing a quantity of jewellery from the residence of Mr. William Morgan.
Oh.
To that, Burns asked, "Where's Warwick?" And so again, there's sort of no evidence. He can't even find the jewellery. But Detective Seymour, he went to work and discovered that Burns had actually just come from Warwick and strangely changed trains 4 times between Warwick and Ipswich before he even arrived in Brisbane. Now, Burns was once again brought up in the Brisbane Central Police Court and then remanded to Warwick, where he was committed to stand trial in the District Court here. But the man accused of one of the most famous robberies in Warwick at the time, it was still not certain that he would be convicted because where was the evidence?
Right.
It was very circumstantial. Detective Seymour needed something more than just that circumstantial evidence. So the nugget, this one answer, was sent to Warwick and must have been an incredibly unique nugget because it was actually identified by Mr. Morgan as being his. Now, that broke the will of Burns, who then pleaded guilty and offered to show where he'd hidden the jewellery, but only if the judge would go lightly on him. So they all traipsed about 3 miles outside of Brisbane to Boggo Junction, which is near where Boggo Road is today.
Yes.
Burns pointed to a waterhole, and in the centre of the waterhole, at the bottom of the water, all the jewellery was found as in a sack, except for 4 watches and a quantity of diamonds. They were never discovered. Now, Burns was sentenced to serve time on St Helena Island in Moreton Bay, but he wouldn't have served anything if only he kept his mouth shut, because he provided the only evidence of finding the jewellery. Because how could the Mayor of Warwick, how could he possibly identify a 1-ounce nugget of gold? That's beyond anyone's guess, I think.
Yes, yeah.
So
Well,
it was just a really unlucky guy that just gave in to Detective Seymour, and the great Warwick nugget robbery was solved.
there you go. He should have kept his mouth shut, shouldn't he?
Yeah, that's right. But, hey, at least he got taken off the streets for a little bit, and that Ipswich jewellery, which sounded pretty good, all went back to town.
Fantastic. Mate, another good story. Thank you so much for that. Now, of course, people can read this story on your website, can't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's about, 70 or 80 stories from the Darling Downs and so on historyouthere.com. Or I might be a bit late posting this one, because I normally post the stories on a Friday. Yeah. But this week, I'll be up in Geraldton just looking for more stories, searching up there for you. So historyouthere.com. I may be a little late this week.
You're looking for gold, aren't you, really?
Yeah, I can't say. I've still got a little bit of room in a bag. There's only one nugget there. Let's see what else I can add to it.
Well, good luck on that front. And if you do find a big score, let me know, all right?
You'll be the second to know.
Oh, great. Thanks so much, Harold. Have a great week, mate.
See you next week.
There we go. Harold Peacock joining us there. And check out the website, historyouthere.com, and you'll find all of those fantastic stories and a lot more. We'll take a break, back with more and our birthdays in a moment.